sum the pink cells twice. You sum them this way, you sum them this way. Well, we're summing them two ways. We're summing them based on employee, we're summing them based on job, okay? Because we need to make sure that every job gets assigned. And our total time cell, which is our objective, we get by doing what? How do we get this one? How do we calculate it?
Sum product of time and assignment.
Sum product of, just like in the matrix, the blue and the red, which is time and assignment. It's just no different. You were doing a sum product of these two things in the matrix, you're doing a sum product of these two columns in the list. Same idea, time times the assignment. When there's zeros, it doesn't do anything, when there's one, it does. That's it. Okay, I know you're thinking the calculation part, the worksheet part of the matrix might have been easier. But this, what's coming next, way easier than what we just tediously did in that last problem. Because you go into Solver, and your objective cell, objective cell still is that total time to complete this, okay? So wherever that is, that total time to complete, and you still are trying to minimize this and get all these jobs done as fast as possible. And you're doing that by changing what? Yeah. And you have to worry about, do you have to worry about tediously selecting it? No, because if they're disallowed paths, they're not in the list at all. So when you say assignment, you're not catching any stuff that was disallowed. It's not there. It was removed from the list before the rest of the problem was formulated. Okay? And so assignment, that's all you have to say. And then we add constraints that are the exact same two constraints that we had previously. Make sure that the assignments to the, the number of jobs that a person will get is less than or equal to 2. And add another constraint that says make sure every job gets done. So every job will be assigned exactly equal to 1 time. That's it. These two right here, those are the same two constraints that were your column, your row and your column constraints on the matrix form. It's the same idea. And then do make sure this is on Simplex. I don't know if I saved yours on Simplex, and so it's popping up or not, but make sure that's on Simplex. And that's it. And you don't have to go in and put constraints in that say this is 0, this is 0, this is 0, because the disallowed path is not in your list. And so everything that's in your list is good. You're fine. And you can just solve it. And you better come up with 263 like you did on the other one, because just like I mentioned in the transportation, these are not two different problems. These are two different formulations of the same problem. So you better be getting the same answer from one to the other, or something is, a formula is wrong somewhere in one of them, then we would need to correct that. Okay, so here's the thing. If someone were going to give us this problem, we'd probably rather they give it to us like this. Really, when it gets right down to it, it'd probably be easier, better to do. But better yet, what if we just have a problem and we have to figure out what to do with it? You don't have this worksheet, so I just want everybody watching this to see what I'm doing here. So I made a greatly reduced size, okay, but a small little problem. Okay, I made a small little problem with, it's from that old transportation problem. I just cut parts of it out. Okay, we're going to only have 4 plants and 7 DCs, and I pulled some things and made them disallowed paths. Okay, so I've just set this little layout. If you had this, and you had input values for capacity at plants and demand at the distribution centers, that's it. You have this information, and you know the capacity of the plant, and you know the demand at the distribution center, you can build this entire problem. And I want you to watch how easy it is. First of all, how easy it is to build it in matrix form, because it really is. I would copy this, I would paste it, delete these numbers out of it, and turn this pink. Okay, there's part of my problem right there. I know that in a matrix, that on the changing cells, I always sum the rows and columns. So I always set this up, do something, you know, to set it up in such a way that I would be able to sum the rows and sum the columns. And I do that because I'm comparing that to, the case of the rows, I'm comparing it to capacity of the plant. In the columns, I'm comparing to demand, right? And if this is a transportation problem, then this will be a less than or equal to. Now, if it's not a transportation problem, if it's something else, it might be something else. But if it's a transportation problem, it'll be less than or equal to, and this one will be greater than or equal to, or this one could be equal and be okay. Do that. There we go. And then this problem always has total something, whether it's transportation, assignment, whatever. Model build, just like that, model build. What do? Sum total, or sum product, where did I get that? Sum product, okay. Do a solver, put two constraints into it, done. Well, now you do on this problem have to account for the fact that you have a number of disallowed paths, and so whatever way you choose to do that, you would have to work around your disallowed paths. If this was supposed to be a matrix form though, you can finish it up that fast. Now, if you were given, remember this wasn't here before, if you were given that and asked to put it in list form, let me show you this too, because this is not that bad. This is not that bad. You know that the things that you have are plant and DC. Plants are A, B, C, D. You're going to do A's, then B's, then C's. DC's, there's 7 of them. So, there, like that. Hold on just a minute. I like the spreadsheets. That would all, I'm going to take and copy this. That's going to be for plant A, plant B, plant C, and plant D. Why did I do that one first? Because it'll just make it easier when I'm trying to figure out, I'm doing 2 of these just in case I don't want it to go A, B, C, D. When I'm figuring out how far to drag it, A, B, drag it down to 7. Drag that down to 7. Drag that down to 7. I have just enumerated every combination of those 4 plants and 7 distribution centers, just like that, a little copying, a little dragging, a little stuff. Not that hard. I have to have every combination of this. Now next, I do need to get the cost in here. This is where I find the cost, and you would need to do this. I'm going to take this cost from plant A to all 7 distribution centers and copy it and transpose it. Okay. And then I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to copy it for plant B and transpose it. And go over here, I'm going to copy it for plant C, transpose it, copy it for plant D, and transpose it. Good. Before I do anything else, what am I going to do right now? Do what? Add the
Delete.
not yet. Well, I could. It wouldn't really hurt anything. But before I do that, I probably want to do what?
Delete the row.
Name the
Well, I'll eventually do that, but even not that yet. What did you say?
Delete the row.
Delete the disallowed paths before I do anything else. Before I do anything else, because I don't want to forget to do this. Because if I start building the other stuff and then I go to delete, I'm going to delete some of the stuff I didn't want to get rid of. So before I do anything else, get rid of A to 5, because it can't happen. So delete that. Get rid of B to 1, and B to 6, and C to 3, and D to 7. disallowed paths gone. And now I'm gonna do, like you said, oh, it's not assignment this time, it's flow, because I just happen to use that as my example here. It doesn't matter what your example is. That is simply just shaded cells, that's all that is. But remember, in a list, you have two constraints. I have the constraint for the plant, and there's 4 of them. And I have to do some ifs to compare them to the capacity that's available, okay? And I still have to, I have 7 distribution centers, and I've got to compare to their demand. This will be the less than equal, this will be greater than or equal to, okay? And all of this has a total something model built. Okay. Now, should you name these columns? Yes, definitely, you should name the columns, because then it'll make you putting the sum ifs a lot easier. You go put all the sum ifs in, you put the sum product in, you solve it. Okay. These are so consistent in their structure that you can build them. Okay? They're perfect candidates for you building them, as opposed to some problem where there's a lot of different ways that it could be built. These have a very specific way that we build them. If you're told matrix, it ends up looking like this. If you're told list, it ends up looking like this. Oh, I didn't put the signs in there, signs. And then you complete the rest of the problem. Now, this is not to say that you never modify these models. We do modify these models. In fact, we did on Tuesday. We went in and we modified demand. We decreased and increased demand at every one of our distribution centers. Okay, and I told you we could have done the same thing for capacity. We could have done that. So let's go back over here and look at this the original findings from our solution here. I know it's hard to see on here because it's so big, it makes these things really small, but one of the things, if you're looking at your sheet, that you will notice is, in our original solution for this job being assigned to employees, is that we ended up with employee 6 not getting a job. Okay, we understand there are 15 jobs and 10 people, and everybody's not gonna get 2, we get that. But we probably didn't anticipate that we'd actually have a person that didn't even get a job assigned to them. Okay, obviously, employee 6 is very slow, okay? Because this was minimizing time, and mathematically to minimize time, we didn't give employee 6 a job. Now, is that what we really wanted? No, we probably wanted to keep everybody busy, so we probably want to give everybody a job. So we look at this and we think, I need to account for that. I need to account for the fact that everybody should have gotten a job. And I basically just go up here and say, you know what, there's another constraint that I overlooked, that I never thought about, and that there should have been max, not only max, but min assignments per employee. I never thought of that. I just sort of assumed everybody did a job, you know? So, but when you solve it and they don't, you say to yourself, wow, I should have had a minimum constraint on this, not just a maximum constraint, but I should have made sure that everybody got at least a job. So now what do I do down here? I put it into the input area, a place that I can reference it. Well, here's what I do. And I'm gonna tell you, I never, ever, ever, okay, never add and delete rows and columns. Not because it doesn't work, but because it frustrates me, because I get, well, there are times where I'll mess up the rest of my model. But the other reason I don't do it is because I get formats I didn't want to get, and I can control it way better if I do this, if I do this. And I showed you this when we were doing the demand on that last one on transportation. I take this little block, you see right here, I cut, Control X, and I move it over 2, so that I will have a place where I can put the minimum. And basically I'm sandwiching, okay? I am sandwiching these assignments in between, gotta at least have 1, no more than 2. And I think the worksheet looks good that way. I think it looks very logical that way. But I took this from here and moved it over here to allow myself these 2 spaces. I didn't insert columns. I moved what was there over so I could have that space.